Mary's Church in Holten St Mary. So on the trek of our first part of the quest really, which this church has a great connection from Cornwall to here, from Mary Magdalene, as people would know her, but also from Lancelot Desposyni, so from the line of Lancelot Desposyni, which is really fascinating. We've got, I don't know, you can see just up there on the main tower there, if we can just pan around there, wonderful colours. Now obviously that's relatively new in hindsight, it's obviously in the 1700s, but what you've got to remember is this church, like many, is actually built on an original pagan sacred site. So hidden in the rocks of the tower will be the ballast, the wonderful big stone that was used by pagans for their sacrificial purposes. So, as many a church has been built. So, but even going back before the pagan times, the pagan eras, go back into the Dark Ages, this particular piece of land was used for pilgrims to travel through. I think we can still see some parts of history within this wonderful church as we sort of walk down the main part of it. You can see, although it's a really tiny church, it does have a lot of sense of decent spiritual wealth, if that makes sense. Just up behind this window here, you can see most of it's worn through, but Lancelot's flag in battle, and you actually see, if you look at it very carefully, you can see the knight's head as the outer boundary, and he's looking at you, and on his face is the lion, you see, used by Lancelot. Now, a lot of the paint has been worn off already, but if you look at it quickly, you'd think that's a person sort of looking at you straight ahead, which is quite interesting trick on the eye, as it were. Obviously, the local villagers keep this church remarkably well, which is quite nice. And you can see up here, we've had to put the lights on. Obviously, it's Sunday. It's nice to see that the church is open on the Sunday, and it's not closed. It's quite pleasant. So you've got the, just on here, you can see that part of lighting. You've got two of the scribes there. Now, pay particular attention, because one's not writing and one's writing, and one's pointing to a certain page, a bottom of a page, which will come to light later on through the quests, really, and how she's holding the book. You'll see how she's holding it. She's got the quill there, and she's not writing, is she? She's pointing to try and show you something, which is quite interesting. And here, that's what I particularly like on this particular stained glass window. If we just see up there to the top there, you've got the blue roses, almost mistaken for purple really, but the blue roses. And the circle of the crossed feathers. You see the crossed feathers, they are actually feathers, they're not leaves there. That's two crossed feathers. That's a great significance to two crossed feathers. Do some research on it if you wish, and you'll find out some interesting things about that. Alpha to Omega here in his love, usual parts you'd expect to see in the artistry there. Peace and the dove of peace carrying no doubt the acacia twig. I mean, as we know, the dove's really important. Interesting, it's always portrayed as one dove. You know, if it was turtle doves, you'd have two, but it's one dove normally on its own with the acacia twig to prove that land has come back from the flood. As we come through here. I think my most favourite part of this particular church, apart from its sense of, I say, spiritual wealth, that's all I can describe it as, would be this particular one where you've got the two angels that are almost, they're like sisters really, and one's on the harp and one's on almost like a gong, a tambourine style gong, you know, the boom, which is quite nice as well. Now below there we've got the fleur-de-lis, which connects us back into Mary Magdalene, connects us back into Knights Templar, which connects us back into Lancelot Desposyni. So it's all very subtle, but nice at the same time. The actual main part, when we look down, is to say it's got a lovely sense of wealth to it. We can see one of the earlier stages of one of the lines of the Fordham shields, actually, used by other family names as well on the crest. That's a very early stage Fordham line, which makes sense because the Fordhams go back to Desposyni's, the true Desposyni line, I hasten to add. There's many people that profess to be from that particular line when they're not. But this is the true Desposyni line of the Fordhams going back, which is quite nice. And as my learned friend Janice already took some nice pictures of, probably get better on the pictures. I just think it's a wonderful piece of oil artwork. I mean, yes, it was open. This was obviously reopened in 1748 when it was obviously had lots of work done to it. So it wasn't that many years ago. But it's more about the actual ground it's on. I mean, that's what we always remember with these churches. They're not just said, oh, you know, we're going to build a church there. There's always a reason why churches are built in certain places. So, Holten St Mary, near enough to Colchester, a lovely, lovely place. Okay, it's Sunday, the 27th of October. We haven't left Blighty yet, but we are going to on the night sale this evening. So, really exciting stuff to go ahead on our Quest 28, the Arthurian legend, or fact, as the case may be. We're at All Saints Church in Great Oakeley, and it's a nice church. It's a big church. It's quite plain in its sense these days, but what I quite like about it, it's got one of my relatives on here, Lance Corporal E. Clark, of the Essex Regiment. There we are. We can see him just up there. Look, Lance Corporal E. Clark of the Essex Regiment. Just up there, which is quite nice. Now, as we know, the Nevilles, the Clarks, the Fordhams, the Bartrams, the Sharretts, they've all gone into bed with each other for many centuries, for millennia really. So it's no surprise to see him up there. In fact, I knew he was there anyway, but I didn't think there'll be a little decorated memorial plaque to him as well, or to his parts of people in his regiment, which is quite nice. So you've got Edward Clark. So Edward, always that's a lovely name, isn't it, Edward Clark? So yeah, quite interesting there. Nice to know there's some history, which is not so surprising. It's only across the way as the bird flies, as the crow flies, that we get to Hertfordshire, and we get to the main Fordham churches that we filmed in the past. So as the crow flies, you know, we're not that many miles away from Kelshall in Hertfordshire, really, I guess. Quite nice to come up here to the main part of the church. In particular, I mean, they've faded over the time now. There's some nice little murals in the stained glass there. It's hard to work them out really now. No time sort of superseded us really. I think the main thing in this church is we had a triskelion down there at the lectern, and it's nice to see that we've got the triskelion here as well, in the green background, which is quite important to note. Green being the colour of Ireland and the kings of Ireland over many millennia. And if we can just step over here, I'm sure Janice has done a nice little picture of this one. Now we know that Jesus didn't die on the cross, we know that for fact. We know that he was crushed to death by stone and boulder, which is how it was done in many times there. But the cross has always been quite emblematical of pathways, as it were. I think what I like about this is, yes, he's on a cross, it's a symbol rather than a fact, but what I like is he's got both his hands in the sign of the Ninasian Salum, the salute. So he's got both of his hands there with the fingers raised up, which is quite nice there as well. And there's fleur-de-lis each side, but in a slightly different context. So, and it's yeah, quite a nice thing there, really. I think as far as churches go, it's nice. We've got the little section there where back in the day, special people visiting would have sat. So Janice has got one or two photographs there already. And one thing I just can't let you miss at this particular church, All Saints Church in Great Oakeley, I can't let you miss any of the wonderful detail around the side here. You can just see the knights. You see the knights? That one's worn off, but you can see it at the knight with his cross, the Crusader. Yeah? And the crown. So lots of Templar, lots of lineage to Lancelot, Desposynis again. And let me turn around to see this wonderful work here. That is just beautiful on the metal work here, going up to the high altar. We've got the lovely piece there of the rose, the red rose, or red and gold in this sense, but the red rose. And a nice discreet little fleur-de-lis coming out the edges there as well, which is quite pleasant. So, cherries, fleur-de-lis, roses, and red pillars. All very nice, black and red, black, red and gold. Lovely colours. You see, we've got some old estate, post Christum Altum 1738, the old Latin parts, Richard Drake there. Interesting, one of the vectors. And over on this one, a bit more modern in a sense, but you see that a lot of the people were dying in the year 802, died 42 years old really, of the county of York. So he was actually from the Trinity, Cambridge. He was a fellow of Cambridge University, Trinity College. I don't know if you can see that on there, this chap. So I don't know if you actually saw the, might be worthwhile getting the details on that. So I've moved his chair a little bit. So a great connection to Cambridge. You can see that Reverend John Townsend and his son John Townsend of Winefield near Ulverston in Lancashire. So we're going up to Lancashire now. A fellow of Trinity College, Cambridge, and vicar of Normanton in the county of York, and 19 years resident and curate of this parish. So it's quite nice to see that you've got the connection there. So all in all, great Oakeley Church. Nice connections across all the ley lines. Did I say ley lines? I think I did say ley lines. So nice connections across all the ley lines that come through, and how that ties into the physical and the beings that were that part of time, I guess.